Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to PCM23 Lions, episode 153, and likely the final episode of the series. Of course, PCM24 now out. My Yeti series has just gotten underway. I'm going to be filming the second episode of that shortly after this. Okay, well, rough start to the day here. The breakaway was aggressive, and somebody was not content with the five riders who had gotten away, and three of those five ended up disintegrating and getting dropped as a number of others attacked. Some of those ended up not making it, but eventually it settled down at 11 riders and a huge advantage that Gregoire's team has allowed to really open a gap. But none of those 11 are a threat to the GC, not only top 10, but GC top 20, top 25. So zero threats to our positions there. And that so far is making today a really easy episode, a really easy stage for us, that is. One problem that's making it less easy, though, is that Ashimwe and Habtum touched wheels. Both went down. Ashimwe got up and continued on, didn't even drop out of the peloton, but Habtum injured, out of the race. Fortunately, it's the last stage that we need teammates, as the final 21st stage is an individual time trial. We're over the second of 5 climbs for the day with no pressure at all on the field, and now, a massive advantage. And after how difficult the first third of the stage was, it's looking pretty dang easy at this point. I do need to get water one more time. I only just got it 15-20k ago, but we do need it one more time. We'll probably do it at the top of this next climb, especially at the way we are pushing, or lack thereof, of tempo right now. Front group is starting to break up, but the gap is getting significantly larger here. There is just no push. I'd like to create a push later on, and it looks like Gregoire's team is starting to accelerate a little bit. We've got the race day condition for it. All 4 of our leaders have a +4 or better. Everybody just has their expected race day condition today, really. So we're down to 9 at the front with 2 a minute off the back, but 47k to go. Let's get Henok to go get water here. 1 rider off the back of the peloton is all. We did have a little acceleration. Temporarily split there. Should make this easier on Henok to put his hand up and get that water. Yes, he's at the back end of a group of just 40 now. Not riding very hard to get back up in a position, though, is he? So 2 climbs remain in this tour. At least in a regular stage race, that is. Front 11 back together. 9-minute advantage. This group is actually thinning out a little bit. It's down to 39, and the advantage to those behind is growing, and those behind have splintered and gotten into smaller groups. Before we continue on, we've got 10k to go to the top of the climb. The climb itself is only 5.5k, 6.5%, so it's a very moderate, relatively easy climb here. The final climb is going to be 8.5 kilometers. It does max out at 15, but really for a small section of it, average is just 5.5. Pretty dang easy for these final 2 climbs. Henok and Isaacs are just a little bit tired. Ashimwe is just a little bit tired, as he is the one going solo without the protection since Habtum crashed. But Benuna is still sitting pretty. The first thing we need to do here, though, is we need to hold position. We are not going to move first, or at least not move yet. If anything, I might just save it for the final climb. Especially with as thin as this group is, a lot of riders missed out. Just 39 here. There are 17 chasing. I'm curious. We're going to take a moment. We're officially at the base of the climb now. I want to take a moment and see what's going on in the group behind us. Who is here? Is anybody missing out? Like Piganzoli, who's 20th. Buitrago. We're ahead of them in the rankings now, though, so they are not much of a threat to us. Ortega is 19th and missed out. But no, there is no key riders missing from this group. Pretty much the entire top, about 18 are here. And that looks like DeVita, who is 10th, trying to make an attack here at the base of the climb. He is 1253 down. I think we are safe. Yeah, Arab's certainly well ahead, and they're only a couple seconds apart from each other. So yeah, we are safe from DeVita. We do not need to respond to that one. A couple riders at least seem to want to respond. They are getting a little acceleration happening here, and that's why we wanted to hold position. I knew there would be an acceleration, and there is an acceleration, and there is a response, but it's not our response to have. But there are riders that are impacted, but it's time to put our foot down because we've already drifted towards the back of the group and we cannot afford to go out the back. 2K to the top of this penultimate climb. Position now recovering. Oh, we already caught him. That's why they sat back up a bit. Final kilometer, Hanoch and Isaacs both look like they are in jeopardy of not making it, and yeah, Hanoch's definitely not. He's going to go out the back before the top here. Too late on the gel. I was hoping he was going to make it to the final climb and we'd have him at our disposal. He's the only rider dropped. He is the only rider that's been dropped there. You've got a couple guys who should have been dropped. 63 Mountain, and he held on. Dang. Okay, this descent is not perfect. There's a lot of undulation on this descent. We're going to get into the period right now, though, where we can get a bit of recovery. We are going to back off a bit, but we can't back off too much. Position still matters, but when and where we can for the next little bit, we want to get as much recovery for the final climb as possible. They're down to 10 riders chasing, with Hanoch being... Actually, Hanoch's in the group of 10 riders chasing. There's one more in between there. That's the same group from before. A lot of those guys just outside of the top 20. Hershey, Greason, Filippo Ganna, and a thinning group. We're down to 32. Seriously? There's been an attack, hasn't there? There's been an attack. And it's Petrovic who's third. And Herman leading him out, and they're not even on the same team. Herman, what are you working for him for? And then the breakaway up ahead is down to these guys. And those two off the front. They are at the base of the final climb, and that's a big acceleration. Your response to the third place rider. Oh, and then it splits, really. I think we're okay, though. I think we're still okay. We will be just fine. We will be in contact with that group momentarily. They've caught those front two. Now there's 9 of them. We're in contact with them, and yet we're not in contact with them. Back together. And now it's the base of the climb. Just like that. It is the base of the climb. Isaacs, gel. And Benuna, gel. 8K to go, folks. 8K to go. There is no time, place, or real chance of any major separations here. Isaacs is not going to have anything left, so it's going to start with Benuna. I'm waiting for his gel to kick in, or for an attempted attack like Herman, who doesn't matter. DeVita attacking. Pellizzari fourth. Okay, there's our response now. Isaac's gel has kicked in, but not Benuna's. Already down to 31. Benuna, you're going first. You're well positioned. It's 6.5K. We are at the base of the steepest part. So we are going through it right now. Yes. Yeah, we're into the steepest part, and then it's going to ease off, get flat. I think we want to push about a 90 right now. A Shimway. Go to the tail end of the group. Tony, you're going to ride second. Samuels, Arab, Ashimwe, try to hang on. He's not having the best of days. Main reason is Haptum left him alone. But there's their response. Again, this is that steepest part. You get through this, and then you put your foot down. $5K. And look, this has all been an attempted attack. And meanwhile, we're just being nice and patient through here. It's a couple bike lengths, but it's about to crest that part. And then we start to accelerate a little bit more. Shimway's done. He's on his own. He will lose some time, but look how thin this group is. Benuna down to his last little bit, 3.5K. On to Matoni. Schmid has won the stage ahead of John Healy. Surprised Healy has lost out here. And now all of a sudden we're down to just 11 riders. Matoni leading this out with 2K to go. 99 for me, buddy. Again they attack. Never ending. Never ending attempts. Okay, sprinting for Samuels. And Arab. Arab, you're supposed to be sprinting, yet you're just riding the wheel of Samuels. Petrovic is 9th. How? Okay, Petrovic is up the road. The whole attack group was caught, so no idea how he gained any separation anywhere. But that is a small group crossing the line together. But Gregoire is there. Rodriguez is there. Pellizzari, DeVita, Wells, and Vingegaard were all there. Almeida losing more time. Ayuso, I think, lost time in that. I have no idea how Petrovic gained time. Right, there was a little stretch there where that group was off the front, but we pulled them all back. Apparently not Petrovic, though. He had continued on beyond the rest of the group and gained separation there. Yeah, if not for the breakaway 8 riders that held on for the 11, of course they had that huge advantage. They end up 5 minutes ahead. The Petrovic thing was a surprise. Without the breakaway riders, we obviously would have been aware of his presence still off the front. Regardless of that, though, we would have ended up on the podium. We would have had 2nd and 3rd on the stage if not for the Petrovic situation. But look at that small group. And then time losses. Vingegaard, key rider, right, because of his time trialing ability. He's lost 13 more seconds. Matoni didn't lose any time today, though. Ashimwe lost a couple of minutes simply because Habtum got injured at the beginning of the stage, right, and he had to ride solo. That is the difference. He had a +4 race day condition today. The others had +5s. We're not talking about anything substantial. He did not have a bad race day condition. He had a very good race day condition. What he didn't have was a domestique protecting him throughout the stage. He rode solo. And so what happened? He lost 2+ minutes. That is the difference of protecting your riders and not protecting your riders, even when they have good race day condition. GC, Gregoire leads. Rodriguez, minute 50. Petrovic, 4:01. A little bit further away and a little bit harder to chase now with that time trialing ability of his. Pellizzari is an easy one to overcome. But Samuels and Arab both move up a spot. We are now in the top 5. Almeida has lost time today, and he drops to 5:40 down. His time trialing is scary good, though. It's going to be really hard for either one of them to overcome. Either one. It's going to be rather difficult. But let's say he was on a bad race day condition. Let's say he goes into the next stage and has a bad race day condition again. Arab should have a +5. If he gets a +5 and Almeida is neutral or minus because it's late race and he's exhausted, maybe Arab can hang on and beat Almeida. And so there is a slight chance still of a podium, but of course we're literally just fighting for that 3rd position with a 1-minute gap, and Petrovic gave himself another leg up on that one. I think Arab can absolutely beat Petrovic and Pellizzari, though. Can. Not saying he will, but can. Samuels, that's another matter. Gets his +5. I think he can put in a similar time to those guys, but he's not going to beat anyone. But it does mean that he should be well ahead of a Lucas Wells and Vingegaard, who lost more time today and are well behind at 11.5 minutes down. We have a very healthy gap to those guys. Matoni moves up 1 spot, passing up his teammate Ashimwe. Palace and Gall, those guys lost time today, but there was a huge gap. We were 5 minutes plus. Palace is the one who definitely lost a few minutes. I think Gall lost a bit, but I know Ayuso lost a little bit there at the end, but none of those guys, they're not in the top 10 anymore. They seem to have given up hope on that, or they're just tired and exhausted at the end of this tour. There's one stage to go. The fatigue is quite high, and really only one of my team members that started the stage today, only one of them was quite fatigued. But the freshness part was pretty bad for everybody else. It wasn't as bad as it could be, and that's why we're still getting the +4s and 5s. We set this fitness peak up really well. The timing was really good for this one, and it's definitely put us in a strong position. We just had to get through that first week without those fitness peaks, and we had one bad day, lost a bunch of time. And then we had a couple really good days, gained a bunch of time, and it's put us in the position we're in. It's going to be quite a while before my team is up, and actually that's kind of a problem, but we're looking at 11-minute gaps. 43:08, Lachlan Atkinson was the fastest time until Karchenko has just gone top, and now Muehlner, but we're looking at huge time gaps. Easily 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes will be the kind of time gaps that you see out there in lower quality riders. Now, of course, we know all of the GC riders, top 20, are the kind of riders that are going to go for it. They're going to try to give it their all to secure their positions. So it's not a given that each of them is going to lose 11 minutes or something, but we are looking at really, really big time gaps on this 32-kilometer final stage time trial with a couple of climbs. So getting the effort right is going to be important. The hard part for me, the hard thing is, well, one, we're already missing one rider, so that's one less to practice with and get things right. But also what we have less of is time to practice. We brought nothing but climbers. And even though our domestiques work as domestiques and then get dropped, they still end up out climbing a lot of the punchers or sprinters. And so they're well up the order. And, we're still waiting on our first guy. And yet half the field is already done with this race. They're done with the race. They're done with the whole tour now. And we haven't even gotten our first guy off the line yet. Isaac's first one off the line. I'm not going to worry about these guys, but it's going to be about the effort. What is the right effort, and trying to measure that. Isaac's, unfortunately, his fitness peak ended after yesterday's stage. So he went from a +3 expected a day ago, which he had, to a 0 for today. But when you throw in the fatigue factor, that it seems to always, at that point, without the fitness peak, it hurts more, the fatigue part. And he is fatigued. It's the last stage of this race. And so he's coming in with a -2. We're trying a 75 with him. And so far, that 75 is not doing too bad at all. Because, Sector 1 to Sector 2 is mostly a descent, meaning you're going to get a lot of recovery in. And I would imagine that recovery would not only offset what we're doing with the 75 right now, but probably offset by a bit more. He is getting overtaken by a rider. I'm not worried about that. I mean, his time trialing rating is his time trialing rating. McLean's a 74, and quite possibly not on a big negative. We are 62nd, 2.5 minutes down at the first check. I'm not worried so much about his position there, but 63rd, by the way. I mean, that's got to be middle of the pack. So that's a pretty average time for a really bad time trial rating. But here comes Benuta. So again, now, boy, see, we're going from one extreme to the other here. Benuta has a +5, I would imagine, just based on the overall ratings. He's got an 81 time trial today. He's got an 85 stamina, and climbing ratings that are pretty good. I'm wondering if a 76 is possible just from looking at Isaac's, but that 75 is looking pretty dang good. We're going to try a 76 here with Benuta. He does have a +5. Yeah, one extreme to the other. Here is Isaac's, who is keeping pace with McLean, by the way, through this sector. He's up quite a few spots. Yes, he lost more time, but only a minute through here, 3:26 down. And here is the hardest climb of what remains. And here's what I was talking about, though. We would have liked to have had our first rider long since done. We'd like to have our second rider done. You'd like to stretch these guys out, right? I still don't know if a 75 is good or not. I have no clue if a 76 is good or not. That's the hard thing about these circumstances. Now, Hanoch is not a time trialist, so this is our Mason Samuels kind of comparison. And I think the Isaacs one is looking pretty dang good as we speak here. He's still got 8K to go, and a lot of it's uphill. It's going to flatten out here in a little bit, or at least kind of false flat. It is flat through here. It is flat through there. It's less plus minus 1 onto that last climb, and he definitely has a little something left in the tank for these last 3.5 kilometers. We're going to go 77 now with him. I think the 76 is probably just going to hold, in fact, the 76, we're not even negative for Benuna. Give me a 77. Hanoch, give me that 76. I think you can get away with a 76 here. Is McLean long gone, or is he behind us? No, he is long gone. He left us in the dust. He was running top 10, 11th at the finish line, minute 27 down, so I feel less bad about Isaacs getting overtaken here. As we go into the last kilometer, he has still got just a little bit left. He is starting to go negative here. He is going to run out before the, well, no, not really. The 99 will, it's going to get him. He had the red bar left. 76th overall, 6:18 down. A lot of people are saving their push for the final sector. It looks like they're keeping a little too much in reserve, and then attacking the final sector and making up time there. Shimway is going to be setting off pretty soon. That's 77 as we crest. I mean, we're overtaking riders. Benuna was 9th. Yeah, Kurtz 2:08 down. Kurtz, definite climber, decent time trialist. So Benuna is putting in a really solid time. And we've got a descent coming. This doesn't make much difference unless he pedals. Tuck is tuck. It makes no difference whether you're doing 99 or 1 on a tuck. There. Shimways and Batoti. And then Arab and Samuels. It's almost time, folks. Ooh, a Shimway. What is up, buddy? Isaacs was the only one who had any reason for... Like, a Shimway should have a +4. Or +3. He said the fatigue is starting to kick in a little bit on these guys, but... a -1. Like, that's a -5 draw for a Shimway. That is not going to help his time. Matoni looks good, though. We'll do the 77 for him. All right, back to... Oh, crap. See? Micromanaging. 6th, 44 seconds down, though. Look at that. He actually put in a really solid time there, even though we backed off and... go 77. Matoni will keep it at 77. Benuna, definitely looking at a top 10 time at this stage, but as we saw with the others, they definitely saved something for the third sector, and a lot of riders put in a better third sector than they did first two. You get a better time with consistency than you do saving something and attacking late. Sure, you gain something when you do that, but overall, a consistently good time is going to turn out better. For the line, Benuna, 10th, 127. That is a top 10 for now. Wow Fan Art is top. That's a new time coming in. Ghana is a new time coming in. Those guys weren't there long ago. So Benuna actually move it up with others around him. And here comes Arab and Samuels. It's time, folks. We're up to 6th. We're up to... Oh, yeah, Arab. He's got the mountain rating, 83. He's got an 85 stamina today and an 81 time trial. And we've already seen that you can absolutely lock in a really good time. Hanoch is coming up on the line. There's not much I can do for him right now. We've got to focus on these guys. Samuels has a good race day condition. It's going to help him. 68 time trial is definitely going to help him. 81 mountain is definitely going to help him as well. And an 85 stamina. He's just really weak in that time trial. So back in here, Hanoch is come to the line, and actually the 77 has worked out pretty dang well for him, hasn't it? So a 77. Samuels, that's the way to go. All right. A Shimway, 51st at the first time check. Minute 51 down. He's got the 51 figured out. It's not his number, though. It's 116. Okay, he does not have that much in reserve. We're going to go 76 on this flat sector. Matoni is caught up to a Shimway. He was 13th, 43 seconds down. He's got the 80 time trial, so we're in the same sort of territory. Still in that first sector. Pushing that a little bit harder. As we saw, Benuna definitely had something in reserve. Okay, the Shimway, this is where you start. I think this is where you need to get that first push. So Matoni also needs to get a little bit more going. You want to attack through there, and then when it gets flat again, ease off. And I think going one harder was not necessarily where you need or want that to be. I think you can push up a couple more. And actually, same with Arab. We're going to push up a little bit more, 79. But going to 78 is already something more than what we saw with anybody else, so we don't want to risk it too much. First sector, 7th, 20 seconds. Back to the 78. Okay, Samuels is hitting that climb. Climbing is his strength, so we do want to hit that climb hard. But here's that difficulty. Once again, last time I'll mention it, but multitasking, right? We've got 4 guys on the road at the same time. Shimway needs my help, support, and I'm not getting it to him right now. Matoni's gone past a Shimway, and he's 1.7k out, and he is not looking like he's going to make it to there. Matoni, meanwhile, though, is just now coming up on his yellow bar being used up, and we can now attack the finish line. Okay. And a Shimway is just going to make it. 441 down for a Shimway, 205 for Matoni, 21st. That's a pretty good time. That is a pretty good time. It's not Benuno level time, but that's a good time. This is where I wanted to back off a little. Second time check. 19 seconds down, 4th place. Arab is putting in a fantastic time. Matoni put in a fantastic time and was 2 minutes down. Right? A Shimway. We're talking 441 and 524, 630 to Isaacs. That's the territory a lot of the field's going to be in as Arab has finished that climb and has to ease off again. We're going to go down to a 77. He's definitely in the red already, so we've got to be careful. Samuels, this is your time to get a little bit more also. So give me that climb. Arab's already like past that point. Let's go 76 here. Almost to the top of the climb. Second car, we're going to ease back off with Samuels. First car. Second car. Okay, 76. Now Arab. Okay, he's into the last climb, but now it's just about making the finish line. He's got 2.5k to go in his race. We are catching Lucas Wells, but it's about the guys that are behind him on the road. 1.8, and we are out of yellow bar. So Arab has given what he can get. He can't make a final attack here, but he is going to make the line, I think. Almost. Eased off right at the end. 12th place, 126. He is 1 second ahead of Benuna. 1 second ahead of Benuna. And, oh, Samuels, it's 2.5k. Samuels is going to lose some time here. He's down to 1k and down to that last little bit of energy, and it's gone. 99 effort. He'll lose a little time. He was only 246 down, but he ends up 545 down at the end. Okay, last couple guys, it's too late on others. Rodriguez has been overtaken. He's going backwards. He's 315 down. Gregoire is a minute 43, and he overtook somebody too. We won the team classification. Wout van Aert wins the stage. We do not crack the top 10, but we have multiple guys just outside of the top 10 today with really, really good overall times. But it's about the GC and the final standings. Gregoire, Rodriguez, Almeida, Arab 4th, 21 seconds off the podium. Pellizzari 5th, Petrovic. Samuels drops to 7th, so he ends up last of that whole group. Regardless, Petrovic almost dropped that much, and it was, what did Petrovic gain on that last stage? 15 seconds? He was 40 seconds ahead, so it wouldn't have mattered. Palace wins the King of the Mountains on just 84 points. A Vuelta usually goes to the overall race winner, but not here. Gregoire wins the points classification, and that does happen sometimes. 11 points clear of Girmay. Disappointing for Girmay. Young rider by 11 minutes. Sammy Arab has won that jersey, so we have won the under 25s classification and finished 4th overall. Our best Grand Tour finish of this series. And we win the team classification by a whopping 43 minutes and 7 seconds. All right, straight to the results. Almeida jumps back ahead of Arab. What the heck? Almeida was 5th, 33 seconds down, but I told you he would have to have a negative race day condition. His base is a 78. Our base is a 75. His base, well, it's a 78. It's really an 80, like 1.8, 81.9, right? Plus 5% on that 78. So at 80, that's exactly 4 points. So at 78, it's just shy of 4 points. So really, he's got an 82 time trial. And so where Arab had a, what was it, plus 4 to that 75? He had a 79. He had a plus 3 to the mountain, which was an 83. Like a 79 is still quite a few points behind Almeida. So we put in a very good time, but it was still a minute off of what Almeida was able to do. We got 12th, like 126. He was running shy of energy in the final kilometer, and so there could have been maybe, if we'd saved that ounce of energy, maybe, just maybe, if we'd had it balanced out somewhere, somehow, we get him 3-4 more seconds. That's really all. Like, we used his last ounce of energy at the finish line. So I think Arab, that is 99%, if not better, efficiency. Benuna was definitely not 99% efficiency, and he had like a plus 4. He was 80 or 81, so he was 1 or 2 points better, and yet he was further behind, mostly because the mountain rating pulled him back a little bit. But we were not 99.9% efficient with Benuna. We were maybe 98. He was one of the first guys out there for us. But we pulled out everything we could. Matoni got a 206. Like, that was 1-2 more points down on time trialing, and that was that much further. That's how big of a difference those things made. And we got a decent result out of Samuels. He pulled a really good first 2 sectors. He ran out of energy at the end, probably lost 20 seconds. I would imagine he lost about 20 seconds. I was saying, didn't I say Hanouk was his target range? Hanouk was 21 seconds ahead. But he ran out just before the end. So that one, we definitely did not get 99% efficiency on Samuels, but we were close until that moment. We had squeezed out what we could. He just ran out there at the end. But in the general, that's Arab, 4th place, just miles ahead of everybody else. He ends up almost catching Carlos Rodriguez. Rodriguez was only a minute down. He ends up at 3:20 down. We gained time on Gregoire. We end up inside 5 minutes at the end, and we had one bad day where we lost 3 minutes. Am I right? If I'm correct, we lost 3 minutes on one bad day there. One horrible race day condition day. Otherwise, it would have been 2nd place. That's how close that was. Pellizzari was freaking miles behind us. Not literally, but 5th. Petrovic drops to 6th off the podium. Samuels drops to 7th, that close to overcoming Petrovic. But again, these are the guys that had better ratings than him, and he nearly overcame them. He came pretty close. I'm wondering, Petrovic and Pellizzari, where were they compared to Samuels? Pellizzari was 4:42, same time as a Shimway, so he was a minute better than Samuels. And Petrovic, Samuels gained half a minute over Petrovic. Petrovic with a 69 time trial, and Samuels with a 63. 6 points base worse off. Plus, add in his at least a plus 3 there, right? 3.5 points. So a 72 to a 63. He's starting at a -9 comparatively. Good race day condition, and he manages to beat Petrovic by half a minute. Petrovic clearly had a neutral or negative race day condition on that final day. That's good gains for us. He was only 107th, but it wasn't enough to overcome him. It was plenty for Arab, but not enough for Samuels. But meanwhile, way up in 17th place, Gregoire, 73 time trial. Right? Yes, he's got a plus 4, okay? That's compared to us. It's not compared to Joel McLean. It's not compared to Mark Hershey, but it is. And Atkinson's a 79 time trialist, and he did poorly, but he's a 60 mountain, so I could see why that didn't work out. We saw his time going very early. No wonder he was at the very, very back of the rankings. But Ayuso, an 80 time trialist with an 81 mountain rating, and he was a minute 59 down. So pretty impressive stuff there from us, but just shy. 20 seconds from the podium. That one bad day, absolutely, without a doubt, the difference. But, it's not like he didn't have a couple bad days in there. Even Gregoire had one day where he was a little off and lost like 30 seconds. But Gregoire wins the La Vuelta, Rodriguez second, Almeida third, and we move up 2 spots from our best Grand Tour finish with a 4th by Sammy Arab. We also add a second rider into the top 10 with Mason Samuels and his 7th, but folks asked why I didn't focus on Mason Samuels. You can see it here. We had a couple days where Samuels did not have the race day condition and he lost a little bit of time. Had I focused on him, sure, he would have lost less time and he would have beat Petrovic. 40 seconds, I can absolutely see that. Minute and a half, no. That was not the amount of time losses that I think Samuels would have avoided had he been treated as the leader. But that would have been Samuels in 6th place. And actually, realistically, that would have been Samuels in 5th place. Why? Because Arab would have been working for him and lost time. But wait, no, because Samuels getting co-leader / second rider treatment and the 30 seconds or so that it cost him, well, flip that. Arab would have saved 30 seconds because of Samuels and would have lost 30 seconds otherwise. So add a minute on, and Sammy Arab is still the 4th place rider, just at 5:50. Arab still overcomes Samuels, and by a pretty wide margin. He's over 4 minutes ahead of him. I knew what we had with Samuels. I knew what we had with Arab, and there was a reason why Arab was still the leader. But there was also a reason why Samuels got co-leader treatment, because he did hang on to a top 10. He got 7th place here. And if you remove Arab out of the equation, where is Samuels? 6th. Exactly where we got him in his one leadership role in that Tour de France, where we lucked out. Remember, he was on a fitness peak very early on in that race, and he led that race for quite a while, and he had a healthy margin, and we won some stages, and it was amazing. And then he drifted further and further back. There was only one time trial, and it wasn't a severe one, but he still lost like 5 minutes on that time trial, right? And ended up 6th place. Here, you take Arab out of the equation, he gets 6th place, but only because we put him in a special scenario where he went and gained, 5 minutes on one stage? He would have been 14 down and 9th. He still would have been top 10. But Matoni and Ashimwe keep their positions of 15th and 16th. No change there. But that's an incredible team result there to have 4 riders in the top 16. That is worth a ton of points for us. Points, Samuels ends up 9th. Mountain, Arab 1st. Matoni 4th. Baduna, Henoch, and Isaacs all placing well in the under 25s. And as a team, that is a phenomenal, comfortable 3/4 of a minute, 3/4 of an hour, that is, victory in the team classification. So really, really good team effort. And that's going to do it. I know there's Il Lombardia and the World Championships still coming. But at this point, you have to know what is in store for myself. And I'll explain why there's just no room for one more episode for me. For one, there's way too many active series, new series, PCM24, Yeti, Tour de France, Tennis Manager, lots of things happening on the channel. That's keeping me incredibly busy. I've had numerous late nights. I'm working weekends like I am right now. It's Father's Day, and I'm recording right now because I just have that much going on. But most of you, if not all of you, by now already should know that I own a daycare, and our summer program is this coming Friday. I'm working a ton on that. We do a big video with that, and I've done all the recordings, but I have to edit a whole bunch of videos for that before this coming Friday. And then a week later, my wife and I are going on vacation to a few different locations, but eventually to Cabo San Lucas, and I'm going to be gone for a week. I'm still going to be bringing you content during that time, but to get that content, I have to mash it all together in the next 2 weeks with this other program happening. So I have a lot of recordings to do, a lot of edits to do, a lot of posting to do before I head out on vacation. I'm busy. I do not have enough time for an extra episode, so sorry about that. But thank you for tuning in for this series. 153 episodes is a lot. And thank you for sticking with me. There was frustration at times that we weren't getting the progression, but honestly, we did get progression. I mean, we progressed a number of nations, but primarily all of that work happened within 3 key nations. And while yes, this series was a success, there was more. There was more to do, and it did leave me feeling a little bit like, damn, like the 2 big things that I think we didn't see enough of was, 1, progression. Yes, we saw progression, but so much of the progression came in the last 2 seasons. We kept getting the bad dice roll, right? 20% odds of an increase for a nation, and we got the victory that we needed, and the victory we needed, and the victory we needed, and nothing was happening. Gurmai was the only one who was making any progression for a nation. So that was all frustrating. And then finally, these last couple of seasons, it actually happened, right? We got progression. Not on every opportunity. There was some disappointing no's that came along the way. But for minor nations outside of the 3 big ones, like, we got those victories, and not one of those ever leveled up. And that was frustrating. We had good performances from riders, good points from riders. They didn't earn any training structure upgrades. We got victories from those low nation riders and never got those upgrades. And so we had to continually rely on the same 3 nations throughout this series, and that was frustrating. We did take a Continental Pro team who was barely qualifying for Continental Pro and absolutely dominated Continental Pro and got ourselves into World Tour races. We never made it out of Continental Pro, but we kept getting into a World Tour calendar and doing well in that World Tour calendar. We sped through most of this year, so it was definitely not our best year, but we still are 8th in the rankings. Even with quick simming so much of the year, we still have 10,000 points. And looking at how close things are, I think easily 12,000 was in us. Like, we easily could have been a top 5. We were 6th last year. And this year, as close as that gap is, and how we use the quick sim, like, honestly, I think we would have battled Italian Oil for 3rd, or at least comfortably been 4th in the rankings this year had we not sped by. Arab 2,500 points, Samuel's 1,800 for this season, definitely our leaders. Shimway at 1,000, Musa, and of course our new man Henok hasn't really turned in the performances just yet. I mean, he's still got 0 career victories. 4th on a stage at the Tour de France this year, 8th, 9th, and 10th in 3 stages here. But he's just not there compared to the other guys, because he's really just that pure climber and just coming up. And when he's surrounded by other guys that do that and more, he's got the stamina, he's got the makeup to be really good. And if you add the punchiness in to get above that 71, he could be a leader, but just not there yet. He's got that nice long-term contract at a very, very reasonable rate, so he would be a fantastic rider for us to keep for years to come, and especially as, you know, you get the hills training for him. But he came on a little too late. I don't know how he's supposed to be our best rider, because he's clearly not. I think the stamina is the probably the difference maker in that ranking. All in all, good series. I'm really excited for Yeti, though. This snowball effect, if you haven't checked it out, do. And I was supposed to have episode 2 coming out today, but I actually was super sick all week long, and I'm not over it yet, but man, oh man, am I feeling better today than I have been for the last about 5 days. So hopefully I'm just about in the clear. I was very lucky that it wasn't affecting my voice, but in between cuts there was plenty of coughing and my head was rather miserable. So all of that added on top of, you know, the busyness of what's to come. Anyway, thank you for sitting with me through 153 episodes. Amazingly, there is still a fairly big percentage of you that are not subscribers on the channel. Like, surprising amount. Please do so. Like, you just sat through 153 episodes, and I would imagine you're probably going to sit with Yeti as well. At least I would hope so. I'm really excited for that series. I think that's the one that can do what we wanted to do here, right? We wanted to get to World Tour. We wanted to dominate. We wanted to win a Grand Tour, not just crack the top 5 finally on the last go. We wanted to win monuments, etc., etc. I think that's the series where we can do that. We can go from truly atrocious and very, very challenging and very difficult to winning. Won't be easy, but it can be done. But that's going to do it for this episode, this series, this Vuelta. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.